looks like you found me, and I'm glad you did because we can now talk about this movie. Uh, but first, we'll start with the IMDb plot as usual. Patrick, a strange and lonely resident, lives in a mobile home at the back of an isolated trailer park. After a violent storm, a mysterious young woman appears at his door seeking shelter from the elements and maybe other things and other mysterious things happening here. I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, it's an interesting description of where he lives and being very descriptive of being in the mobile home park here and whatever. It was kind of dark and whatever, so I couldn't really tell what was going on in that neighborhood. But anyway, to the point here. So, yeah, You'll Never Find Me is a new one on Shutter. So that is where you can find this one. And since it is new, I will obviously try to be as spoiler free as possible here. Definitely some stuff to unpack at the end and some mystery and twist and so forth. So I'll try to save all that for you guys to see when you guys watch it. And to kind of try to stay away from that. But I'll give you the setup here and so forth and some thoughts here. Um, yeah, so you do have it does have opens with Patrick here, and he's all alone, and it is definitely a dark night. It is definitely a stormy night. Um, it's constantly raining and storming the entire most of the movie. You can kind of hear it out there, and there's definitely a darkness to this movie and so forth. And he's there, and you're just not really sure what to make of what's going on here early on. Maybe he's depressed, maybe he's lonely. Um, he's sitting at a table. He's got a bottle of wine, I believe that's in front of him, something to drink, and he's just there and kind of in his thoughts and whatever. They're kind of giving you a moment to kind of absorb the atmosphere again. Again, it's raining, it's kind of dark and so forth, and eventually he's going to get a knock at the door, and he's not in a huge hurry here to answer the door, but then eventually does, and they kind of do an interesting kind of camera angle. They're kind of like from behind him. They don't really let you see who's at the door at first, and kind of in the way he's kind of peeking out of the door, and you kind of hear a woman's voice there, and she's kind of convincing that trying to convince him to either let her in, or give her some help or so forth, and he's not really eager to help her out. He much prefer her kind of go on her way. Um, but she continues on, and then eventually he's going to let her in the house. Um, so you eventually get a look at her. She comes in. It's a young woman, and you know, this is then where we kind of take the movie kind of takes of the back and forth. Um, it is going to be a constant conversation for them for for probably half the movie, maybe 2/3. Um, each of them are going to be kind of cryptic. Each of them are going to be kind of might lie a little bit here and there. He's going to kind of keep pressing her on what she's doing out in the storm and in the rain and what is going on. And, she's going to ask a few questions of her own about him and, what he's up to and what's going on there. So, this is definitely one of those movies where, it is two characters that are going to do a lot of the dialogue, and it is not going to be, at least for probably half the movie, like I said, maybe 2/3, not a whole lot of action going on. Um, you know, there will be some small movements within the home here, in mostly centrally, like the kitchen kind of living area. Um, he's sitting at the table a lot. She's kind of sitting, opposite. And they're just kind of having this back and forth continuously. Um, as I was kind of watching this, I was kind of thinking, do I really like these horror movies where it's basically just two characters and two characters that are doing a lot of talking? I mean, you can have two characters and stuff is happening. Maybe they're going through the woods, or maybe they're running from something, or blah blah, and that's kind of okay. But sometimes we get these horror movies where it is a very few characters and just a ton of dialogue, and kind of as I'm watching this, I'm like, do I truly like this kind of horror? I don't know. Um, one of the things, as I always tell you guys, I'm usually doing stuff when I'm watching the horror movies, and rarely do I just sit and watch. So when you have a movie like this, and two characters that are kind of going back and forth, it's key to kind of listen to what they're saying, and definitely in this circumstances, you're kind of watching this, you're kind of like, each is kind of filling you in on probably something important, without telling the other. You got to pick and choose what lies they're telling, what truths are they telling, what role is what they're saying going to play in things that are going to probably happen in the back half of this movie. So definitely, as they're having this conversation, the horror fan in you is kind of thinking, okay, where is this going? Who's really lying? Is he going to kill her? Is she going to kill him? Is she real? Is he real? Is he dreaming? Is she dreaming? What is going to be the outcome? Where is all this back and forth leading to? What has she said that's important? What has he said that's important? And kind of that. So, you know, you kind of have to take that in. So, kind of under advisement when you sit down to watch this movie. Maybe you just want to sit and watch this movie because, like I said, it is a lot of them back and forth, a lot of the conversation, and obviously some of that conversation is going to play into what happens at the end or towards the back half of the film. So, you might want to kind of pay attention to kind of maybe see if you can kind of pick up on those things. I'm not going to say I picked up on everything, and I'll, without giving specifics, I'll talk about the end, or my thoughts of the ending here in a minute. But definitely be prepared for that, to be prepared to kind of focus in on this conversation, and kind of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what is really happening, what may not be really happening here. And like I said, who is the good guy, who is the bad guy? Are they both good? Are they both bad? What is happening here? Um, so yeah, basically, they're gonna have this back and forth. Obviously suspicious of each other. He's gonna try to help in some circumstances, and whatever. And it's are you gonna go now? And yeah, I want to go. No, I don't want to go. This kind of thing. Like. At points maybe he wants her to go, and then she doesn't want to go, or maybe she wants to go, maybe she wants to use the phone, and or maybe he's gonna help, and so whatever. He kind of makes her soup. He makes her he tells her to get out of the wet clothes. So in certain areas he's comforting her, and in other areas he's just being creepy. So it's this whole thing, whatever. And another thing that I was kind of thinking as I'm watching is like when they're writing this, how are they just messing with us here, and just kind of easing into it, because they're in no hurry here. I didn't even see how long this movie, and it's just over an hour and a half. It didn't feel long, but like I said, there is going to be this conversation, there's going to be this talk, and they're not gonna rush it. They're not gonna make you feel it is rushed. They're gonna take their time and give you this whole back and forth between these two characters. Um, so yeah, that's gonna go on, until eventually it's going to flip, and whatever's happening here is going to start to happen. And I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I'll let you guys watch that, figure that out, and enjoy it or not enjoy it, whatever your guys' feeling is on that. But yeah, that's kind of the way it is. They definitely do a good job of creating the atmosphere, and like I said, keeping that kind of slow pace. They're in no hurry uh, to reveal what is going on here. Um, they're not, like I said, besides what's being in the dialogue, they're not gonna give you too many hints. It's just a matter of I think the intention, the intention of both these characters. Then you don't really going to give you too much of a hint of what is truly going on until it really starts to happen. Um, I liked what happened. Yeah, I try to pick my words here so I don't give too much away. I did like what was happening. It kind of carried on with the atmosphere they created here. It is, like I said, it is dark. There's always thunder going on. It's obviously raining. It's dark inside this trailer. There's, it's not blurring the light in there. Um, and just their conversation in whole back and forth is kind of low key and cryptic and whatever. So kind of where the direction where it eventually goes, I think matched that well. It will pick up. It is not going to bore you to death. It will pick up. It's not a ton of action that's going to eventually happen, but there will be some, and I guess that there's still that unease, there's still creepiness to it. I like my blood and guts. There is a little bit of blood going to be seen in here. Um, kind of as I was watching this, I was thinking, what is it? Speak no evil, and when evil lurks, the kind of you know, all three different kind of types of horror in the ways they were, but just kind of that they all, these three movies kind of give you that kind of unease feeling. Definitely Speak No Evil is just messed up. And then, when evil lurks is just, my type of movie is just, it hit you, it gave you the action, gave you the blood, it was disgusting and that kind of thing. But this one just kind of give you also that kind of unease feeling, and not really to compare it, not compare it in a eventual ratings thing, but I don't know, just kind of the thought of just the unease of the situation and the movie and the direction of where things are going here. It's not going to be anything pleasant here. Um, but yeah, and I think like I said, with the conversations that they're having, it's up for you to pick up on certain things and maybe you missed, and it might be one of those movies where you might watch it again to see, where you see it eventually ends, and then you watch it again and try to pick up on some of those pieces. Um, like I said, I probably missed some of those pieces. I'm gonna say, where the movie ends, maybe it was definitive. Maybe, it was like, okay, this movie ended this way for sure. But in my mind, or whatever, I think maybe they left the door a little bit open there. Again, maybe if I watched it again, maybe I would say, oh no, that door was closed or whatever. But I like to think that maybe that door is a little bit open. Maybe, certain things happened, maybe certain things didn't happen, and so forth. So maybe you guys have a different interpretation when you guys watch it. Like I said, unfortunately, sometimes I'm doing stuff and maybe I miss a line or two, or sometimes even exactly really what is happening here, as a lot of horror movies blur the line of what is really happening and not happening. um, but I would like to think that maybe it is a touch open there at the end, which I don't mind, and which I think kind of goes with what's going on here. But it was kind of, it does hit a level of craziness. Once a certain thing is revealed, you're like, oh damn, and then then it is, did I think of that before? Is this one of the scenarios that I thought this was going? I would say that probably some of the things that have been running your mind, it might be a little bit of a mix, a bag of maybe two, maybe three things. But yeah, definitely once things hit, it is definitely a little bit weird, strange. Um, but it will pick up. It will have some excitement. It will have some creepiness. Again, it is dark and whatever, and um, yeah, lots to be seen at the end of the movie. And if I was doing this non-spoiler free, I'd have a little bit more to say. But I want you guys to see it and kind of enjoy the end and direction of where all this dialogue leads to. Um, what else? What else does there say? I don't know. Without giving it away, um, I did like it. Like I said, you're gonna have to pay attention all the way through as much as you can. Um, and yeah, I think you guys are like where it kind of eventually goes. I still not overly convinced where the title fits in this movie. Maybe I need a little bit more time to think about where the title fits as far as what happens. Again, maybe I missed it. Um, but otherwise, I don't know. I don't. I tried not to pay too much attention to everything. Knowing too much before going into it. Definitely, the title is kind of intriguing, and kind of I had some thoughts about where it eventually ended and then the title, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to think about it. I would like to watch it again, just to kind of see and maybe pick up on some things and to kind of clarify whatever. But guys, I always tell you I rarely watch a movie a second time, and it's not to say whether the movie's good or bad or whatever. I just rarely watch a movie a second time. At least right in the present. Maybe at some later date. But anyway. With that, I think I'm gonna give this one 4 pools of blood. I enjoyed and like I said, I thought a lot, while they were having their discussion about whether I really like movies where these two people are just talking, and I think it ultimately depends on where it goes, and if you like where it goes, then it's fine. If you don't, then you feel like you've wasted your time, and I don't think you're gonna feel like you wasted your time here. I think you're going to enjoy the craziness that happens at the end, and where this direction that goes. So just kind of be patient with it and let it happen. I think not everybody's gonna like it and so forth, and it might not be for everybody, but I think it will be okay for most. So yeah, I'm gonna give it 4 pools of blood, and that is out of 5. I liked it, and maybe I'll just fast forward and watch maybe some of the back half of the movie to see kind of how that unfolded, or at least that, and not really the parts getting there. I don't know. We'll see. Just kind of thinking about it. Anyway, yeah, 4 pools of blood, and that is out of 5. And with that, horrorlsgoryreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. You can obviously subscribe to the channel like everybody wants you to do. If you're just enjoying the video reviews, obviously if you go back a little while, you can see some of my written reviews on the blog. But obviously tons of video reviews of late. So if not, no worries, it's okay. But I thank you anyway for any time you spend on the channel here or in the short section. Twitter, Facebook, also feel free to reach out to me there. Stuff to review, thoughts on this movie, other movies, talk horror in general. And down in the comment section, once you catch this one on Shudder, your thoughts on the end, your thoughts on horror, where two people are just basically chatting it up until whatever happens, happens. Do you also like or dislike those movies, or whatever? I don't know. Anyway, with that, this is You'll Never Find Me. Hopefully you'll find me again on another review. And I'll see you later, horror fans.